someone like Malcolm. Malcolm, in his dreams, he was a carpenter, a great carpenter. He built mansions for himself. And he was also an adventurer, a regular Indiana Jones. He shot tigers in Africa. He reeled in marlins off the coast of Florida. And, of course, Malcolm was also a great builder. Women fell at his feet and worshipped him. Now, those were Malcolm's dreams. In reality,
in your dreams,
Malcolm worked at the same job for 20+ years. That is until he was downsized. Poor Malcolm. He was bitter. He was angry at all the people, especially the management, because of all the changes he made. He was angry, and he felt he was wronged because he had done his work well, but now they let him go. And he spent his pension on the past 2 years trying to find another job just like the one he had, or hoping that somehow they'd take him back. Malcolm spent his whole life avoiding risks, and that turned out to be the greatest risk of all, because now no company wanted him. His experience was too limited, and obviously he lacked ambition. And while I was doing my research for my book, I wrote The Denver Job Search, I interviewed many people like Malcolm. And all their lives, they had avoided risk. And that turned out to be the biggest risk of all. Now, I know we all have obligations. We all have our rent to pay, our car payments, and everything. So how do you know when you're taking the right kind of risk? Well, number one, evaluate yourself and figure out if you're running from something or to something. It's very different. The person who's running from something is apt to up and quit his job and run off and try to find something else. The person who's running to something will go out there and figure out what it is that he really likes, what turns him on, and he'll set a goal and he'll go for it. Now take two people in the same situation as, say, maybe our Malcolm, and one will see nothing but problems and feel insecure, he gets afraid, and the other one will say, okay, now that I've been forced to make a change, how can it work for me? It's negativity versus optimism. So how do you develop the optimism? Number one, you set a goal for yourself. Now, I've had many people say, oh, that's easy for you to say. I have no idea what it is I like to do or what I want to do. Okay, so I tell them, pay attention to what it is you like. What do you do well naturally? Where are your natural talents? And if you're not quite sure, get a pad, and every time you do something that makes you feel good, write it down. And keep that pad with you. What is it that makes you feel like you're contributing something to the world? And that's what you want to build upon. And then that means getting out and going around, going to the library to check things out. How can you use your skills? Many of us figure that if we can do something well, obviously everybody can do it. And that's not so. We were all built with unique, special gifts. So capitalize yours, find out what they are, and develop them. Number two, once you have this goal, what you do is you develop a plan, and you assess your strengths and weaknesses. Now, I know that many of us are afraid of our weaknesses because in school we were trained that if we made mistakes, that's a failure. And so we try to cover up our weaknesses and push them aside. Now, if you really want to go on with your life, build upon them. Realize your weaknesses. Minimize those as much as you can. Is there something you can do to build them up? And number 3, follow through. Concentrate on what it is that you want to do. In this day and age of so many choices, frequently we just ricochet off one thing after another. We do a bit of this and a bit of that, and we're not getting very much done. So take bigger blocks of time and actually accomplish something. Mark something off that you have done. And in doing this, you'll be able to help yourself achieve your goals. Now, there are 2 ways of looking at risks. And one is to make sure to follow through. One is to keep on the way you are and hope that your skills don't become obsolete. And the other one is to develop the spirit of an adventurer, a scientist, an explorer, and get out there and see what it is that you can improve yourself on. Do the research. Follow through. Act as if every day you are going to lose your job. And if you are, what would you like to replace it as? Now, the first course might seem to be the safest, because after all, you're carrying on with what you normally do. But the second thing, the exploring, the adventure, that is really the safest place.